Well, everyone, the OnePlus 7 Pro is one of those types of phones that came out many years ago, and it was a very insane type of phone that was released. So let's go and see how this particular phone holds up in 2025. Now, this phone originally came out about 6 years ago, which is kind of crazy because when you look at this phone, it actually looks like a newer phone than you'd expect. In fact, it probably looks even nicer or more futuristic than an iPhone like 17. Now, this phone on the front side was giving you a 6.67-inch fluid AMOLED display. It was 90 Hz, it wasn't 120, but it was still a very good phone. This thing was giving you these curved panels. There was no camera, cutout inside of this particular phone, and it was a, very good panel. This also came out at a time where a lot of phones were still basically giving you 60 Hz displays. So, this was a really good, probably the best display of that time, and honestly still now it looks really cool. USB-C on the bottom, glass back, triple camera setup. Definitely the exterior and the body of this thing was ahead of its time, and it still is ahead of its time. Now, it did have that camera pop-up at the top, so that was kind of the thing here. It was that motorized pop-up. That was kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie. It's like a novelty feature, but I see why they did it. Like it is kind of a cool thing. Now, the camera system itself really isn't that great. It's going to be giving you a wide telephoto and ultra-wide camera, which is good to have, but it is going to be a slightly limited type of experience because it's just not going to really be that great. You are getting 4K at 60 on the back and 1080p on the front, which is actually not bad. But like I mentioned, if you're trying to get a phone that's going to be giving you a better experience, this thing might be giving you a slightly limited type of camera experience from that particular perspective. Now, on top of that, when it kind of comes down to software longevity, this phone is pretty much already done getting software updates. So this device is already kind of getting into a situation where it's already kind of outdated with software, and that is going to be kind of a problem that you're going to kind of run into there. So the last thing I would want you to do is get a device if it's already going to be outdated with software, and that is kind of what's going on here, right? It stopped at Android 12. You might be able to get some more software updates out of it, but for the most part, it is going to be slightly limited. So that right there is also going to be a situation to keep in mind there as well. On top of that, when it comes down to the performance, this phone is giving you the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 chipset inside with 6, 8, or 12 gigabytes of RAM. So the performance of this phone really actually isn't that bad here either, right? This was a decent performing phone in today's standards, but back then that was a very good performing phone. It was on par with the majority of flagships that were basically coming out at that time. And that right there is another really big asset for this type of device. So if I were to go through and pick up a phone back in 2019, this thing would be on par with some of the competition, at that time. But also this phone is doing a really good job at giving you a decent, okay performing phone in today's standards. My biggest problem with this type of phone pretty much is when it comes down to its software. The fact that it's pretty much done getting software updates, that is going to be a slight limitation, right? I don't want anyone to buy a phone if it's already going to be outdated, and that is kind of what's going to end up happening here. But I will say, this phone for the most part is still going to be able to give you a very futuristic type of phone still, which is kind of crazy. I just probably wouldn't really recommend anyone to buy this phone anymore because it is outdated with software. So from that side, that pretty much covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.